Oh wow. Okay, so this is my first time trying to do this, so I'm a little bit trying to get it lined up so you guys can see it. I see a lot of people are saying hi and hi. I'm glad to be back with JJK, and we're gonna do Miwa today. So I'm just gonna start out with I have my colors here. I'm gonna usually I have like pre-mixed colors, but since I'm kind of trying to um, since I'm since I'm kind of trying to like just kind of show you my process, I'm going to use the regular colors so I can show you. Wow, I didn't expect this many people to show up like right at the beginning. Um, okay, so I've got my primary cyan, and I guess there's like a little bit of delay, so I don't know. So I'm trying to watch it like on my separate computer, so I'm not sure if you guys are getting this delay or not. So, and then I've got primary yellow, and and I've got primary magenta, and then black and white, and that's what I'm going to use. And actually, I was just looking. I'm going to use this phthalo blue because there's a little bit darker blue in her eyes and her tie. So I'm going to use this little bit darker blue. And I've already sketched out like a little drawing of Miwa here. And let's see. Oh gosh, my computer's going to time out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started on her eyes because I usually try to start with the eye whites first because it kind of sets the tone for the rest of the skin color. So, kind of what I do a lot of times is I just bring the paint up and mix it like in the tops of these little areas because it'll still be put away and I can use it later. And whoops. And I'm actually going to I'm running kind of low on my black, so I'm going to use this black from, no, that's not black. And okay, so I'm gonna use this black that I've already put out. Oh, where can you get these paints? So I get these paints off of Amazon. They're Holbein Artist Gouache. And I usually just buy these, and I've got these before, which these work really well. Like if you're going to like, these are from Hobby Lobby, which they worked really well. But I like to use the primary colors when I'm painting. So this was like the only set of gouache that I could find that I can pick my individual colors that I like to use. So I got these on Amazon. I think they're also available on Walmart and things like that. And so I'm gonna get started. So I'm gonna just put in up here. So I've got like the outline of where the book is kind of gonna go, but then I have to kind of paint across the line a little bit because I don't know if you saw my video before when the covers cover the book, like you can kind of see the folds a little bit. So you have to paint out from across the lines just a little bit. And I'm just gonna put a little bit of shadow, eye color shadow right there. And then I'm gonna take a little bit more, rinse off my brush, and bring up a little bit more of this white and add a little bit more white. And add a little bit more white. And I can't really pay attention too much for the chat, but I'll try to go back in and answer questions a little bit later. But if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. And if there's anything that I could do like to improve upon like it, I don't, I'm not sure if you guys can see good enough. Let me maybe push my camera a little bit closer so you guys can see. And so I'm just going to make that a little bit. And I'm going to go in now, like to blend these two colors together. I'm just going in, I rinsed my brush off, and I'm going in with just a damp brush. And I'm kind of just going to tap these lines in between these two colors to kind of start blending them. And you kind of just go back and forth a little bit. And gouache is kind of tricky to learn at first, but once you learn it, it actually is like pretty fun to use. And we'll do that for right now. So now that I've got that in, I'm going to go ahead and start mixing my skin tone color. So I'm going to use this chunk of white here because her skin is fairly fair. So I'm going to just use this chunk of white here, and I'm gonna get this a little bit of my magenta and mix some of that in, and rinse my brush and get a chunk of yellow, and I might have to go in and get some more white. Yeah, definitely. And to tone that down because it's a little yellow, we're going to get just a little bit of this blue. And we definitely need a lot more white. So let me get my white and squirt a bunch more out. And a lot of times, like when I'm mixing tones, I try to mix a lot because obviously I use them a lot. So it's looking a little bit greenish right now. I'm not sure if you can see it. The skin tone's looking a little bit greenish right now. So to fix that, what I'm going to do is if something's looking like a little bit green and you want to move it a different way, you can add the complementary color, which so we'll add some more magenta to cut down that green a little bit. And see, that's going to cut down that green just a bit. So it's starting to look a little bit more like a normal skin tone. Not sure if you can see it very well. Might have to adjust like how I do the cameras for this, maybe. So let's see how that looks. No, that's actually pretty good. So that's why I like to do the gray for the eyes first, because that tells me, like, a lot of times, like when I first started painting, I would paint my skin tones like too light or too grayish. So painting that gray already kind of tells me that my skin tone needs to be a little bit darker than my eye. So it helps me to judge my skin tones a little bit better. And it's a lot easier to paint on paper than it is on the actual books. And I think I was going to do a video about like the differences of painting, like, and I might paint the same thing like on paper versus the books, because the books, like, it's not meant to be painted on. So the paper is actually really dry and difficult to paint on. So it's actually so much easier to paint on the paper. And I'm just going to go kind of far off because, it's paper. So I'm going to go like a little bit off over here. And probably I should get a bigger paintbrush, but I have a really bad habit of I will stick them with the same paintbrush size forever just because I get caught up with painting and just it kind of messes up my flow to switch to a different brush. And I'm going to leave a little bit of room. There's just a little bit of shadow up up at the top of her head there by her hair. So I'm going to leave a little bit of room for some shadow right there. Get up there. And gouache is really great for covering up. So I should have erased a little bit of that because that pencil is now bleeding into my gouache a little bit, but that's fine because I can paint over that in a minute. But gouache is really good about it is very opaque, so you can cover up mistakes pretty easily with it. And yeah, I really appreciate all you guys coming out today and watching. I'm very surprised. I thought it was just going to be me talking to the universe by myself, but I appreciate you guys all coming. And I just got in my new, I guess since you guys are supporting me, I can tell you right now. So I just got in yesterday. I got the last two, yeah, yesterday. And for my new series that I'm going to start up, I was going to do a vote on it, but I decided to just go with this. So my next series that I'm going to be doing after the Kami-sama Kiss that I'm doing right now, my next series is going to be 12 volumes of Attack on Titan. So you guys will have to start thinking about like what characters you absolutely want to see in that series because I've got 12 volumes for it and I was looking so if I do 12 volumes and then like 12 volumes and then an 11 volume like mini set, I think that'll cover like that whole series. So think about like who I should put in that first, you know, who should be in that first 12? Who you guys think? And I'm gonna get a little bit of this dark blue right here, and I'm gonna mix some of that in, and of course that's like super blue. So I'm starting to like make a shadow color for it, and now that's like super blue. So I'm gonna add some more this magenta and start leaning it like more towards like a purplish color. And still looking a little bit blue. So I'm gonna add a little bit more of this. And excuse me. So just to neutralize this just a hair, I'm gonna add a little bit more yellow to it. And of course now it's looking a little bit green. So I'm gonna go back in with a little bit more red. Sometimes it's kind of hard to get skin tones worked out. So that's pretty good. Actually, I'm going to add a little bit more red, magenta. Since our hair's kind of blue, I'm going to go a little bit more purple. And there's just a spot up here bring that down. And then there's, hold on, my iPad turned off. There's a spot right here. All right. So now let's go ahead and mix her hair a little bit. So actually, since I, let me see. Let me take some of this up here and I'm going to add a bit more white to that, and I'm going to use that for her shirt collar and go ahead and add that in. And kind of just what I'm going to do is just put it on the tip of my paintbrush and mix it in right there. There we go. So I'm going to use this for her collar on her shirt. And there's like a little spot right there underneath. And I keep this one lighter, and then I'm going to add a little bit more of the purple back in. Probably should have done that in the first place, but so now I'm going to take a little bit of that blue, this darker blue, and this magenta. Too much. And that's too purple, so I'm going to get some of this yellow and neutralize it a little bit. And now it's too yellow. So this will be good for the shadow color underneath here. And now I actually need more of that other color. So I'm just going to put a little bit up here. And take some of this over here. And do some shirt color down here. And I'm going to brush a little bit of that into there. And just kind of blend that out a little bit. So I'm just going in with just a little bit of water. kind of blending that shadow out a little bit. And I'm actually going to blend this shadow out some too up here. So I'm just going in with just water on my paintbrush. And I just rinsed my brush off again to get rid of the water or the paint that I'm picking up as I'm blending. All right, so I'm going to actually put my cap back on my white. And I'm gonna go ahead and mix this dark blue for her tie, and her eyes, her eye color is kind of like a darker purple. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this dark blue to mix that up, and then I'll start to lighten that one up to use for her hair. So all my colors kind of tie together a little bit. So I'm going to actually use a little bit of black for this also. And I'm gonna add just a touch of magenta and a touch of yellow real quick. Kind of make the shadows for the tie area. Actually, I'm a lot more black in this. Yeah, I see the printable things for the JJK. I actually have the first 6, I think, are up on my YouTube right now, and I'm working on the other ones. But there are 6 of them up there right now that if you want to go download. But I am working on the other ones also. So I'm just going to put a little bit of shadow color kind of underneath her tie where the knot of the tie is, and a little bit of shadow color over here in the corner, and like wrap it around a little bit. And then I'm just going to add a little bit more of this color over to this blue, and this blue will be that main tie color, which is kind of like a very faint difference. And if any of you guys actually do download the printable things, there's a community tab apparently on YouTube. It's a new feature, and you can go on and download, or you can go ahead and post pictures of art that you've done. And so if you print like the actual printables, you can print that, post pictures of your collections there with them on them. And I'm going to add just a little bit of white for her eyes. They're just a hair lighter. So I'm just going to put it on the side and kind of drag a little bit down. So her eyes show a little bit more blue. And actually, I'm going to put some up here because they're actually a little bit more purple. So I'm going to put a little bit right here and get a little bit of my magenta. Pick up a little bit of this. A little bit too much water, so I'll have to fix that a little bit in a minute. Goodness gracious. These brushes sometimes. So there's all right. So I've got so her eyebrow is kind of a little bit this color too. So I'm going to go in and paint her eyebrow a little bit with that color. So now kind of all that's left is her hair. So I'm going to get my white out again, and I'm going to add a bunch more white because her hair is like a lot lighter. And just to kind of neutralize the blue just a hair, I'm going to add just a tiny touch of yellow to it. And that was not a tiny touch. All right, and let's see. Got too much water in my brush again. Now that's looking a little bit too green, I think. So let's add a little bit more of this blue back into it. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get some of this blue over here. Mix some of this cyan blue into it. Try to bring some of that blue back into it.